I bet you've never thought about your health in terms of balancing bodily fluids, right? Well, buckle up, because we're about to dive into one of the strangest chapters in medical history. Did you know that for over 2,000 years, doctors believed your health depended on balancing blood, phlegm, and bile? It sounds wild, but this idea shaped medicine for centuries. Let's travel back in time to a world where illness was a mystery, and the human body was a puzzle waiting to be solved. Picture yourself in ancient Greece, where philosophers and healers are trying to make sense of health and disease. They're looking at the world around them, seeing patterns in nature. Now you might be wondering, what exactly are these four humors? Let's break it down. First, we have blood, associated with a sanguine or passionate temperament. Next, there's phlegm, linked to a calm and sometimes sluggish personality. Picture a cool white mist swirling in the lungs. Then we have yellow bile, connected to a choleric or easily angered disposition. Envision a bright yellow fluid bubbling in the liver. And finally, black bile, tied to melancholy and sadness. Think of a dark, inky substance spreading through the body. Each of these humors was thought to have its own unique properties and effects on both physical and mental health. So who came up with this fascinating yet flawed theory? Well, it all started with the famous Greek physician Hippocrates, often called the father of medicine. He proposed that health was determined by the balance of these four bodily fluids. But it was Galen, another Greek physician who lived about 600 years later, who really fleshed out the theory. Galen's writings were so influential that they became the foundation of medical knowledge in the Western world. His ideas spread throughout the Roman Empire and were later adopted by Islamic scholars. Now we'll dive into how this theory actually worked in practice. Consider this scenario. You're feeling under the weather in medieval Europe. You visit a doctor, and instead of taking your temperature or listening to your heartbeat, they start by examining your appearance and behavior. Are you flushed and energetic? Must be an excess of blood. Here's where things get really interesting, and a bit gruesome. Once a doctor determined which humor was out of balance, the next step was to correct it. And how did they do that? Often by trying to remove the excess humor from the body. If you had too much blood, the solution was simple: bloodletting. This could be done with leeches, but blood wasn't the only target. Excess phlegm? Time for some induced vomiting or a strong laxative to purge the body. Too much black bile? How about a nice mercury treatment? Yes, you heard that right, mercury, which we now know is highly toxic. Diet also played a big role in treatment, with certain foods prescribed to counteract specific humoral imbalances. You might think that such a strange theory couldn't possibly last long, but you'd be wrong. Humorism dominated Western medicine for an astonishing 2,000 years. It shaped not just how doctors treated illnesses, but how people understood their own bodies and personalities. The language of the four humors even made its way into everyday speech. So, what finally brought down this long-standing theory? It wasn't a single discovery, but rather a gradual accumulation of evidence. The invention of the microscope in the 17th century was a game-changer. Suddenly they could observe cells, bacteria, and other microorganisms that didn't fit into the four-humor model. As scientific methods improved, new theories began to replace humorism. The germ theory of disease, proposed in the 19th century, showed that many illnesses were caused by microorganisms, not imbalanced humors. Advances in anatomy and physiology revealed the true complexity of the human body, far beyond the simple four-fluid model. While we've long since moved past believing in the four humors, their impact on medical history is undeniable. The theory of humorism represents an important step in the development of medical thinking. It's a reminder of how far we've come in our understanding of the human body, and how much there still is to learn. As we've seen, the theory of the four humors shaped medicine for centuries. What other strange beliefs have shaped our understanding of health and disease? If you're curious to learn more about the bizarre world of historical medicine, don't forget to subscribe.